Rev up your engines!
Now here's one you might not have thought of. But the banks are pulling back on auto lending and it's threatening dealerships. Now, what you may or may not understand is most car dealerships do not own the cars on the lot. The bank loans them millions and millions of dollars. They get the cars. They're paying the bank back every month on the cars until they sell them, right? And the banks are saying, whoa, we see a recession coming. We're not going to loan you all this money and get stuck. They're going to have a hard time borrowing money. The car lots, right? Even the dealership car lots is the same thing. They don't own them. They don't even own the cars, the new cars, used or new. They don't own them. The bank loans the money and they sell them. And the banks are saying, well, we don't get stuck with these things. I don't blame the banks because I know back in the day in Houston, decades ago, the big .com failed and then there was a giant recession, right? A bunch of car dealerships went out of business and those banks lost their shirt. Sometimes they got as little as 30 cents on the dollar. You got a bunch of cars sitting there, right? Yeah, it's collateral, but how the bank's going to sell cars? They're not car dealerships, and if it's a recession, nobody's buying cars anyways, so you got to sell them for whatever you can get for. They can't have them sitting around for years, right? So the banks are not holding back, and that's making the dealers like, oh, what are we going to do? You have to understand one thing about car dealerships. They are just middlemen. That's all they are. They're totally unnecessary in most situations, right? People build the cars. Why can't you just buy them from them? Like Tesla, he just sells them direct, right? I mean, that's one thing he does that makes sense. Why do you need middlemen knocking up the price of cars, and all they're doing is, it's not even their money. It's not like they're middlemen. Well, we bought it for $2, we sold it for $3. No, they don't even buy it. They borrow the money from the bank. And now the banks are saying, whoa, you guys are on shaky ground here. We're not going to be loaning you money anymore. To give you one idea, since the start of 2023, Citizen Bank scaled down its loan portfolio to car dealers from $14.5 billion to $5 to $6 billion by the end of 2024. So we're talking about 1/3 they're going to loan out. The banks aren't stupid. They see, hey, something's coming up. Why should we loan them money? Then we're going to lose because if we got to sell those stupid cars, we've done that before. We've lost the shirt, so now they're holding back on it. So you wonder why you're going to, in the future, see a whole bunch of car lots go out of business? Well, it's because the banks won't loan them money anymore. After all, they're just middlemen. They're not even needed. It's an unnecessary thing when you really think about it. How it got involved that the banks would loan money to these guys and not have them put their own money into it is beyond me. Well, just like I predicted, Stellantis took over Fiat Chrysler, and what are they doing? Now they're going to get rid of another 3,500 workers in the United States. They say they're offering them buyouts. Buyouts, in other words, hey, here's some money, get out here, we don't want you anymore. And as usual, Stellantis excuses, well, we got to get rid of those workers that are making gasoline and diesel-powered cars because we got to have new ones to make electric cars, right? No, don't give those guys the jobs, right? Just lay them off. When a foreign company buys an American company, guess what? They're going to start laying off American workers because they care more about Europeans than they do about the Americans, and this is the absolute truth. Now, the UAW's newly elected president, Shawn Fain, says there's a fractured relationship between their workers and Stellantis. Yeah, no fooling. The Europeans went out, we don't want these Americans, fire all of them, we don't need them, right? That's just what always happens. I remember Optima, they made those spiral batteries, and then they made a factory in Mexico, and they said, don't worry, people, the factory in Mexico will supply Optima batteries all over the place. Guess what happened a few years later? They shut the plant down and they moved all the manufacturing to Mexico because the labor's cheaper. And the same thing is going on with Stellantis. The Americans, they're making too much. Let's get rid of them, you know? They always do that when a foreign company buys in. That's their whole thing. They want to make money, send it back to Europe. They don't care about the American workers. Hey, another 3,500 Chrysler workers go down the tubes because Stellantis took over. Well, as usual, Elon's trying to give back his unlimited free supercharging for life. He's trying to get the owners to stop using that. For the first few years of Model S and Model X, Tesla offered free supercharging for the life of your vehicle. I've learned that in my life. I've been on this planet almost 70 years, right? When something says for life, it's usually total BS. Like a company will send me a scan tool and they'll say, the great thing about this is there's free upgrades for life, right? Either you find a company that says, yeah, free upgrades for life, and then they don't upgrade it. Or they give you one upgrade every 10 years or something, you know? Or the other ones that say free upgrades for life, and then a couple of years later you go to it and it says, nope, you got to pay to upgrade it now, right? So a lot of this stuff is sales BS, and it never means for life. In 2018, Tesla did end that perk. He said, oh, it's unsustainable. Yeah, you can't get free electricity forever to people, right? Even today, 2023, there are still hundreds of thousands of Teslas out there. They got this free guarantee for free supercharging around the world. Tesla's trying to get rid of them, so what he's doing is he's offering to get them off that perk by offering owners a $5,000 discount if they trade in a Model S and Model X. So he wants them to trade them in, and that's the end of that. As if that wasn't enough, obviously it wasn't, he's now offering what's called ownership loyalty benefit. These people who already own the Teslas, if you buy a new Model S or Model X, by the end of this quarter, he's offering them 6 years of unlimited supercharging. Now, well, realize if you get a Tesla Model S Plaid 2023 version, it's going to cost you over $108,000 for this car, right? Do you really think you're getting free electricity for 6 years? You're paying $108,000, and he's even trying to stop that. And now he's saying, well, forget the unlimited. If you trade yours in, which means you're going to have to pay a whole bunch of money for the new one, and they'll give you some rat deal on your used one, right? Oh, he'll give you 6 years now, not lifetime, you know? All I have to say is throughout my lifetime, whenever I see lifetime stuff, I immediately go back and go, well, that's a BS. I wonder what their catch is. And there's always a catch. Michael Robertson says, I got a loud noise on startup and a low oil pressure light. I got 2010 RAV4 with 210,000 miles. It makes a loud noise on startup. My low oil pressure light comes on whenever I brake really hard. My friend told me it could be my oil pump, and I'm not sure. Hell, a lot of those make a noise for a short time as that variable valve timing system starts to break down. It's a very, very expensive fix, but a lot of them, if they make that noise and it goes away immediately and doesn't come back until it gets cold and you start it again, a lot of guys will drive it that way rather than tear the engine down and fix the VVT system. Now, you see the low oil pressure light comes on when you brake really hard. And if I were you, first thing I'd do be check the oil. If you're low on oil, that's exactly what will happen, because when you slam on the brake hard, the oil in the bottom of the engine moves forward, and if you're low on oil, the pump can cavitate and suck air and you get low oil pressure. Or if you have really dirty, filthy oil, in that case, you'd want to get some of my friend Bernie's ATS engine oil flush the oil, then change the oil and filter, and it might go away. Dirty oil clogs stuff up and you lose that. But more often, it's you're just low on oil, and then when you brake really hard, all that oil goes to the front of the engine, and then the pump sucks air. Todd N says, where is the starter relay for 2007 Honda Pilot? It's in the fuse box. Of course, there's more than one fuse box, right? In your case, sit in the driver's seat. To the left of the steering wheel, if you pull that little panel off, there's a fuse box there, and the starter relay is hiding in there. Now, I don't know why you want to get to the starter relay, what your reasoning is. It is exceptionally rare for a starter relay to go out in a Honda. Personally, I've never seen one ever break in a Honda, but it's in there, you know, it's in there inside the car. It's not under the hood with the other ones. It's inside the car to the left, the steering column, and a dash. Robert says, Scotty, do you think after 2035, new gas-powered cars will not be produced anymore because it's pushed toward electric? Well, who knows what the future's going to bring, but let's face the facts. There's not enough electricity. It really is not all that green. Electricity's got to be made somewhere. Lithium's filthy when they produce it. Pollution all over the world. A lot of the electricity is generated by burning coal. That pollutes like mad. So, you think it's clean. It really isn't all that clean. If the politicians are saying, oh, we all have to buy electric cars, guess what? You know what a lot of Americans will do? They'll vote those politicians out. Let's face the facts. They're politicians, whatever way the wind is blowing, they bend. If the wind's blowing to the left, they go to the left. If the wind blows to the right, they blow to the right. If the wind's blowing straight on, they stay in the middle. So, you know, you have, at least in the United States, the right to vote. If people are trying to say, you can't buy cars anymore, guess what? People will vote them out. Not that hard to do, right? It's not like we live in communist China where they say, we're all going to drive electric cars. Nothing you can do about it. Too bad. Well, maybe they can get away with it. But in the United States, that won't pan out. You just watch. User 818 says, Scotty, I got an 08 Honda Odyssey. It only gets 10 miles a gallon. Why is it doing that? Whoa, man, that's really horrible. You always want to start with simple things. Air filter, fuel filter. If those are clogged, it can go bananas. Check your spark plugs. Make sure they're not worn out. One part that really has a lot to do with your gas mileage is the mass airflow sensor. Have a mechanic like me plug in a scan tool and check it. He might say, oh, your mass airflow sensor's shot. If it gives the wrong information to the computer about how much air is coming in, it will give too much fuel and you'll get horrendous gas mileage. And it is a Honda Odyssey, so count the gear shifts. Count how many times sometimes it shifts. Maybe it's not shifting in the top gears. Maybe it's staying in third gear or something. Listen to that. Their Odysseys are known for having transmission problems. If your trans is slipping or not shifting to the higher gears, you'll get horrible gas mileage then. So check those out. Those are the most common ones for an Odyssey. Gino Money says, I got 2013 Nissan Altima with 110,000 miles. I never changed the tranny fluid. Is it too late to change it now? Yes, I would not touch it if I were you with a 10-foot pole, because I have seen people do that and then they'll start to slip or they won't even move on their own power. Those are weak transmissions. If I owned one, I would change the fluid every 30,000 miles. Doesn't take me 20 minutes to do it. Easy job to do it. But you've gone that far. If you change it now, it may act up and start slipping. You'd just be gambling with dynamite then. I wouldn't. I'd just pray it lasts longer. A lot of them break before 110,000 miles. Yours lasted. Maybe yours was made on a Wednesday. You know, the best day to get a car when their workers are working better on a Wednesday. They're not hungover from the weekend, or they're not thinking about the next weekend to come. So leave it alone. Don't change it. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.